Welcome to the 250th episode of the Caring Generation podcast. I'm your host, Pamela D Wilson. You can learn more about me and my 25 years of elder care and caregiving experience on my website, PamelaDWilson.com. This week's topic is Caregiver Advice, Health and Financial Elder Care Strategies for Aging Well. Many people want to live a good old age. The challenge in doing this is that we're not taught how to be happy, healthy, or financially stable in old age when we're young, unless we have good role models in our grandparents, parents, or other family members who teach us how to live a good life. In this episode, I'll share why the idea of creating a good old age can be difficult, why looking at financial planning is time-sensitive today if you are an older adult or a family caregiver, and how you can get started by learning about 3 things which contribute to living a good old age. The first, creating a financial safety net for retirement and care costs. 2, self-directing care. And 3, planning for long-term care costs. Most of us struggle to figure out how to live a good life all by ourselves. Learning, well, it can take years of trial and error, making mistakes, falling down, and getting back up again. Becoming more educated, gaining knowledge, and sharing information with family and friends can shortcut our learning curve. This podcast, The Caring Generation, is an easy way to do that. Encourage your family and friends to listen to all 250 episodes. The roadblock to planning for a good old age is honestly daily life. It can be hectic, trying to manage work, going to school, career, raise a family, care for aging parents, or other people unless you can be very clear on your priorities. Family caregivers are easily pulled off track or swept out into the sea of responding to other people's problems for years until someone offers them a life raft or the caregiver decides it's time for a change to focus on their life and their priorities. Until you're in a situation where you need a care plan, or your parents or someone else in your family has health problems and needs help right now. Little thought can be given to creating a good old age, or really what it takes. Creating health and financial planning strategies for old age and elder care, it's a 3+1 process. The 3 include health and caregiving, money management and financial planning, and legal and estate planning that I talk about on other podcast episodes. There's also plenty of free information on these topics at PamelaDWilson.com and on my YouTube channel. The +1 that is rarely, if ever, discussed is family conflict resolution between parents and their children and between siblings. In my professional career, I've seen family relationships permanently destroyed when there isn't a process to resolve disagreements and preserve family relationships. Sometimes it takes a third-party mediator to help resolve conflict in families. So now let's start with the 3. The first is creating a financial safety net, and why health and financial elder care strategies are important and more time-sensitive than you might think, especially if you live in the United States. If you're listening from another country, Canada or the UK, you may have similar issues happening where you live. In the United States, the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust is the legal name for the financial account that funds retirement and survivor benefits for Social Security. You may not know this, but the OASI's fund reserves will be depleted in fourth quarter of 2032, which is about 6 years from now. As you might imagine, this is not a popular topic for discussion. Not everybody is aware that it's a serious financial problem for retirees. According to the 2026 Trustees Report, you can read this for yourself and you can fact-check everything I'm saying through a link on my website for this podcast that I'll share in just a minute. So according to that Trustees Report, the continuing program income will only be sufficient to pay 78% of total scheduled benefits, not 100%, 78%, which is a 22% decrease. So to make this math really easy to understand, let's just round 78 down to 75. Everybody receiving Social Security might experience a 25% wage cut. So in simple math, if you receive $100 a month today, you will receive $75. So regardless of whether you're employed today or you're receiving Social Security, how will a 25% pay cut affect you? Are there unnecessary expenses that you can cut out of your monthly budget? At a 25% pay cut, what bills might you not be able to pay? Now, to be clear, the trustees in the report did not say there would be an across-the-board equal cut for everyone, but they did list a number of ways this might happen that might interest you. So to become more informed about how this might affect you, read the report, become educated. Think about how a significant income cut will affect you if you are on Social Security today, how it might affect your aging parents, how it might affect you if you are planning to retire in the next 6 years. Will you have to continue working? Will that cut change your plans? And if you're contributing to Social Security today, will you be able to rely on it to be there when you retire? A 22% decrease in Social Security, it's a big deal. Waiting for 6 years to see how or if it will happen, in my opinion, not a good plan. This is why creating a financial safety net plan for elder care today is one of the most important things you can consider and talk about in your family and with your parents. You may need to start saving more money. You may need to eliminate unnecessary expenses. If you're already on Social Security, is it time to consider downsizing that big home that you really don't need to reduce expenses so that you can invest the money from that home for daily expenses and future care needs? To find the Social Security Trustees Report, go to PamelaDWilson.com, click on the Media tab, then the Caring Generation. Once you're on that page, scroll down to find episode 250. Click on that page. You will find a link to the report there. Now let's talk about number 2 in planning for living a good old age. It's my definition of self-directed care, which, when you think of it as a big goal, it really just means becoming self-educated so that you can direct and make good choices about your health and healthcare, which does have a financial impact on your life and an impact on the quality of your life. What you can do, how happy you are. Can you fulfill all of those retirement dreams to travel and the hobbies that you want to do? What does that look like? Because if you're not healthy, you may not be able to live your retirement dreams. And it's probably highly likely that you'll have higher healthcare and daily living expenses. If you're a caregiver for a parent, and you're listening, you may already be seeing the effects of poor health firsthand in your parents. You may be spending hours helping parents every week, or maybe you're financially contributing to their care. So, in thinking about self-directed care, I'll share 2 actions that you can take today, which bring in the idea of self-directing your care and making better choices that will impact your future. The first one, if you have health insurance, use it. Establish care with a primary care physician if you have not already. Then schedule and participate in your annual checkup every year, whether you think you need it or not. Get your blood work done. Learn about your numbers for cholesterol, triglycerides, blood sugar, and if the numbers aren't great, what might you do to improve them? Identify health conditions early, before they become permanent or serious, so that you can do things that you may not have known to do because nobody told you. When I was a care manager for older adults and people with disabilities, my clients would say all the time, no one told me. No one told me smoking could cause this. No one told me that eating a can of salty olives would raise my blood pressure through the roof. No one told me I needed to drink that much water. No one told me that walking could improve my balance and help me avoid a fall. There's a long list of no one told me. But if you're proactive and you seek education and you share it in your family and with your friends, that means that you will rarely ever say, nobody told me that. Part 2 of this is that having a primary care physician who knows you and you know them, instead of running to the emergency room or an emergency care clinic or going to that, I call it doc in the box at your local grocery store. Having a primary care physician supports what's called continuity of care. Because if you ever need care or treatment, and let's say that your insurance denies it and says, you don't need that. We don't want to pay for that. If you have a relationship with a doctor who can help you get approval from your insurance company, then you actually get the care that you need and deserve. Next, if you have dental insurance, are you having your teeth cleaned every 6 months? You might wonder, well, why is this so important? My experience with my clients and even research confirm that plaque, tartar, cavities, and gum infections go well beyond your mouth, and they negatively cause health problems with other body systems that no one tells you about. Poor mouth care, dental problems, can cause heart problems. Poor dental care, it's linked with dementia, memory loss. Gum disease can worsen diabetes. Poor dental care causes pneumonia and lung infections in the elderly who don't always survive pneumonia or lung infections. Brushing and flossing your teeth at least twice a day, preferably 3 times, can help maintain good oral hygiene and stop the bacteria in your mouth from migrating to other parts of your body. I had my teeth cleaned this week. The hygienist told me that plaque actually starts to attach to the teeth in only 8 hours. And the only way to get rid of it is to brush, even if you don't have toothpaste. Which is why brushing your teeth after lunch, in addition to in the morning and before bedtime, is also a good idea. Never go to bed without brushing and flossing your teeth. My idea of self-directed care is seeking education to learn about good health practices and being proactive to practice what you learn. Practice makes perfect. Practice eating healthier foods. Practice exercising. Practice maintaining a good body weight. Practice getting a good night's sleep. And practice reducing stress. And if you are in your 40s or 50s or 60s or older, and you have lost muscle strength, if you don't have the endurance to do all those things you used to do, or you have poor balance, know that any type of injury or a fall can be the start of a downward health spiral. If you're a caregiver, you may have seen this in your parents. When I was a care manager and a medical and a financial power of attorney and a guardian, some of my clients who fell and fractured their hip never fully physically or even mentally recovered. They reduced their physical activity because they were mentally afraid of falling again. Some of my clients died within months or in less than 1 year after breaking a hip. So, just like that old saying from Smokey the Bear, you can prevent forest fires, you can prevent falls. Before I forget, before you move on to the next thing that you have planned for today after you listen to this podcast, help me out. Take a moment to post a positive comment about the show on the podcast app where you listen. Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, or whatever app it is. Your comments help this podcast reach more listeners worldwide. It is the only way we reach more people. So now let's talk about care costs. Healthcare is expensive. We all complain about it. Medicare and Medicaid are funded by the U.S. government. The Medicare plan that you choose at age 65, whether it is original Medicare or a Medicare supplement, will have a big impact on your access to care and the providers that you can access. So it's extremely important to take enough time to become very educated about this choice before you make it. There are videos on my YouTube channel on the topic of Medicare. To get to my channel, open your browser, search YouTube Pamela D Wilson Caregiving Expert. And then in that top bar, just type in the word Medicare. Videos will come up. There are over 1,000 videos right now on my YouTube channel on a variety of caregiving, elder care, self-care, financial, legal, family relationships, and related topics. So back to long-term care. How many of you are familiar with what this means? Most people associate it with Medicaid, which is funded by federal and state governments for low-income, mostly elderly, who have care needs that are equal to or requiring a nursing home level of care. Income is also verified. Very important to know. There can be wait lists to get on Medicaid services. It can take months to get a Medicaid application through the system and approved. So just things to know. Another long-term care definition is what I call individual long-term care planning and savings, so that you, not government programs, have control over where you live, how you receive care, and who you receive care from. Because Medicare, the insurance that you get at 65, doesn't pay for the type of care that most elderly people need that is usually provided for free by their family caregivers. Family caregivers, sons, daughters, grandchildren, nephews, nieces, keep family members at home and, for as long as possible, out of assisted living or memory care or nursing homes. Long-term care insurance that you can purchase pays for care that Medicare does not. In-home caregivers, care management, assisted living, memory care, nursing home care, day programs, some even pay for home modifications. All of this care can be very expensive, into the tens of thousands of dollars a month. Yes, a month, which is why so many adult children become caregivers for parents who I didn't know, nobody told me to plan for elder care costs. Now, the downside is that many of these children then interrupt their earning ability and they can't pay for care when they're older and they need it. So here's the other important thing I want to mention, and you probably have heard about this, but no surprise that tax revenues can't keep up with Medicaid spending. Most states are at a deficit. So what states are doing is they are beginning a new deduction from payroll checks to pay for long-term care services through state-funded Medicaid programs. So your payroll deduction is going to fund or add additional funding to your state's Medicaid program. So payroll contributions will eventually have a defined amount of money, probably at age 65 or 67 or 70, to pay for some long-term care services. For example, the state of Washington already has these deductions in place through a program called Washington Cares. You can Google it, you can look it up. New York, California, and Colorado are probably the next states to set up some type of program. But there's a wrinkle in these plans. They're not portable or transferable across state lines. For a logical reason, not all states have these programs. So if you live in the state of Washington and you contribute, and you move to a state that doesn't have a plan, what happens to your money? Well, your long-term care contributions, they don't follow you. So you might end up contributing for years to a program that you will never receive financial benefits from if you move out of state. So, for example, a parent contributed. Their kids live in another state, and their kids are like, hey, come and live closer to us. Well, the parent loses all that money. How do you feel about that? Another question to consider. If your state government's budget is overspent or poorly managed, do you really trust your state government to manage and control more of your money? Will it be there when you need it? So, what's the option? The option is to plan for and self-direct your long-term care. Buy your own long-term care insurance plan as early as possible so that the cost is low. If your company offers long-term care insurance, strongly consider buying it for yourself and even for your elderly parents, even if you ask your parents to reimburse you for the cost of the premiums. Long-term care insurance on the open market, so if you're not buying it through a company, it's called non-guaranteed issue, which means that you have to health qualify. You can actually be turned down if you have certain health conditions, or you can be approved, but you may pay a higher rate that's 5 or 10 or 20% more than a person without health problems. The older you are when you purchase it, the more expensive it is. So there's this time frame in which buying long-term care insurance makes sense. And there's a time frame in which applying for state Medicaid is more practical because you may not qualify due to health issues, or if you qualify, you can't afford the premiums. So if you self-direct your health care and you buy your own long-term care insurance plan that gives you more choices about your care, it's your plan regardless of which state you live in, which state you move to. Now, states who have these mandatory plans may not require a mandatory payroll deduction if you can prove that you have your own long-term care insurance plan. That's a plus. So in the best scenarios for a good old age, as you can see, there's a lot to consider and so much to plan for that I can't even cover it in one podcast or even 250. But in the best scenario, you choose. You choose how you receive care, where you receive care, who you receive care from. And you don't have to rely on Medicaid, which is for low-income elderly. You don't have to be limited by care from Medicaid providers. Now, this may be the choice that your elderly parents are faced with today because they may not have known, they may not have planned financially. But this doesn't have to be your choice if you learn how to self-direct your health and your health care so you have more choices, if you become more educated, and if you share what you learn with your family members and your friends, and you investigate buying a long-term care insurance plan. Now, the money part, will Social Security be around? I don't think anybody knows. If you don't have a financial planner who can help you learn about this, learn about long-term care insurance, learn about creating a financial plan so that you don't have to rely on Social Security. Do your research and find one. You don't have to have a lot of money to have a financial planner. Everybody has to start somewhere. And as we discussed, go to the website page for this podcast. Learn about and follow what's happening with Social Security so that you know if it's going to be around when you retire or not, especially if you're within 5 or 10 years of retiring. That could significantly change your plan. And if you're already retired, worst case, plan for potential reductions of 22% or more 6 years from now in 2032. Start saving, start investing, start looking at your money differently, consult with a financial planner. Don't gamble your health or your financial future on the hope of government benefits that may or may not be available. Put yourself in control of your future, your health, your money, your choices. More information about care planning, an online course about caring for aging parents, which applies to caring for yourself, how to access one-to-one individual or family consultations, and elder care mediation. All that information is on my website. There are also links in the copy underneath this podcast on your podcast app. I thank you all so much for joining me for episode 250 of the Caring Generation podcast, now in year number 9. I'm Pamela D Wilson. I'm a caregiving expert. God bless you all. Sleep well tonight. Have a fabulous day tomorrow, and enjoy each day until we're here together again.